regarded as my crony. If you fail, nobody cares. So now I think that it's not good for me to push anybody ahead, but to go through a system or tender, for example, where my own assessment doesn't count very much. It is up to the tender board to make a decision. Then they cannot blame me that I was helping my cronies. Those are some of the reforms that we have to make. Of course, other thing is we want to shorten the terms of Prime Minister to 2 terms only.
Oh.
Yeah. And most of the power of the Prime Minister will now be transferred to the Parliament. So these are some of the reforms. Of course, many of the laws which were considered as oppressive, we will either amend or drop them, or repeal the laws, or amend the laws, or introduce a new law.
Thank you. Well, the next question, this is related to, Thailand as well. We from Thailand don't see much of policies based on affirmative action, in contrast to the Bhumiputra policy. Have you ever thought of dismantling this policy so that people of diverse ethnic backgrounds can equally enjoy freedom and equality?
Malaysia is a multiracial country. It became multiracial because the indigenous people do not want to adopt a new ways, new of life because of colonialism. So when the British came into Malaysia, they started having big rubber estates, tin mining, etc. But the indigenous people do not want to work in these places. They want to continue with their old, maybe cultivating rice and all that, which does not make them rich. Because of that, foreigners come in, mostly Chinese from China and from India. They came and lived in Malaysia, and they saw opportunities, and they were able to develop much faster than the indigenous people. So what happens now is that we have certain races are very poor and other races are very rich. Now when you have such a disparity between rich and poor, there will always be conflict. But when the rich is of one race and the poor is of another race, then the potential for conflict would be much greater. So to avoid that, we thought that we will help the poorer section, the poorer race, to catch up with the people who are already well advanced. And we do that. What we do, of course, is called affirmative action. That is to say, we give them opportunities, we try to help them with scholarships so that they can, their standard of education will be higher. We have to spend money on the poorer people so that they can catch up. For example, a poor man family cannot afford to send their children to study abroad to get good qualification.
Yes.
So they will remain poor all the time.
Yes.
But by affirmative action, we take from among the people, the poor people, and give them opportunities to do business, give them opportunities to get education so that they can catch up with the richer community. If you don't do that, then over time, the disparity will get wider and wider, and this will lead to conflict. To avoid conflict, we have to do affirmative action.
Thank you. Next question from, yes, please. Next question from the floor. Thank you. What is your view on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual movement in Malaysia? Not my question, by the way. From you.
Well, we cannot live isolated from the rest of the world. The rest of the world has got an influence over every country. But their value systems are not always the same. I had always upheld Asian values. But the West thinks that only Western values are real values and can make you, well, prosper and become very successful. But if you talk about freedom, you must give freedom for countries that have other values. Our value system is based on our own thinking, our own civilization, our own religion, etc. We have to adhere to a different set of values. But we see that sometimes Asian will accept Western values without questioning. Of course, we change our dress. Now we wear coat and tie, and we adopt different systems of the economy. We have growth in industry and things like that. That is something copied from the West. But do we have to copy everything? If they one day decide to walk around naked, do we have to follow? I think we have our values. So I am proud that we have our own values. At this moment we don't accept LGBT. But if they want to accept, that is their business. But don't force it upon us. For example, in the West now, men marry men, women marry women, and then the family is not made up of father, mother, and the child, but is two men adopting one child from somebody. They call themselves a family. The institution of marriage, the institution of family has now been disregarded in the West. Why should we follow that? Our value system is as good as any. So we want to maintain our value system. If that means we have to reject some of the values coming up from the West, mind you, before they regarded LGBT as bad also. You see, but now they change their mind. We should be free not to change our mind according to their wishes.
Thank you. Very beautiful answer. Wow, the next question. Amidst the growing threat of religion extremists in the region, what would be your recommendation to nations, particularly to Thailand, in the context of far south of Thailand? How can Malaysia help us?
I don't believe that the conflict is entirely due to differences in religion. If you look at the source of terrorism, you will find that some injustices has been carried out, which makes these people very angry. For example, if in Thailand we decide that Chiang Mai should belong to somebody else and not part of Thailand, I think the Thais have a right to protest or even to fight because to retain your territory. But we see in the West, in the Middle East, territory belonging to one race, one country, is taken away and given to another set of people to create a new state. And on the top of that, there is, when these people try to get back the land, they cannot fight a conventional war because they don't have the weapons to fight a conventional war. But the injustice is still going on against them. So when they are angry and frustrated, they resort to what we call terrorism. They tie bombs to their body and blow themselves up. These are desperate things. People don't normally do that. But it is not because of religion. It's because of a sense of injustice. I am quite sure that if you correct the political aspect of this terrorism, there will be less terrorism or even a stoppage of terrorism. We must always remember that 70 years ago, we didn't see this. There was no extremism. There was already the religion. Religion is there. Differences of religion was there, but no conflicts like we see now. But now we see acts of terrorism spreading all over the world. It is because of a sense of frustration and anger that they cannot recover their own land.
Okay. Well, next year, Thailand will assume the presidency of ASEAN. What do you expect Thailand to prioritize?
I believe that the ASEAN countries have got tremendous potential. The population strength alone is over 600 million people. Even if they are poor, they still constitute a market. Now, based on this market, we can increase our output. Today, we are buying everything from outside. We can do all those things by ourselves. And if we do that, then the money will flow in and not out. But the preference is to take the easy way. You just buy what people sell. You don't produce yourself. Now, if with 600 million people as a market, we can produce a lot of things that they need. And if we combine together and do these things properly, I am quite sure that ASEAN countries will grow much faster. It is still growing now, but it will grow much faster if we become, we decide to become like Japan and Korea and China. They decide to produce things, not just buy things. But we seem to be a consumer mind. We have a consumer mind. Easy to buy from outside, cheaper, better quality, but you don't try to produce these things yourself. I remember the first Japanese car. They say that it was made of tin can. You see, if you scrape the paint, you see Milo under this. You see, that was the low regard that we had for Japan. But Japan persisted in producing better and better cars. Today, Japanese cars have become the standard.
Yes.
Why? Because they wanted to produce their own car. So I think we should try to produce some of the things that we need by ourselves, combining the strength of the ASEAN population.
So you believe in the ASEAN Economic Community?
Well, it would be an ASEAN economic community. The question is, why not? Yes, the ASEAN was formed in order to resolve conflicts between nations. But now that we are together, we have this strength. We should make use of this strength. Thailand has got, how many, 90 million? And
68.
70 million. Vietnam, 90 million. Indonesia, 240 million. Philippines, more than 100 million. All of them buying from outside. You see, like Japan before, they don't even allow foreign goods to come in. They want to produce their own. At first, poor quality, but over time they improve.
So what could we learn from the European Union? Well, what lesson that we can draw as our own